We live. Shalom. 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 I just got through eating, so I'm picking my teeth Salakia. But everybody finna be picking a teeth because we finna eat tonight. We finna eat tonight, man. It's gonna be good. It's a perfect chapter. Even if you know the chapter, it's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be good. We're gonna be in there tonight. Hey, Officer Aharon, can you hear me?
Yeah.
God, can you grab a precept in Proverbs? It's Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 19.
Yeah. This is Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 19. It says, "Let her be as loving hind and pleasant roe, Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love.
Con. It says, be ravished with her love. It also say, what was the part right before that? I got short-term memory. Let me go there.
Huh.
You
Just
got
let her be as the loving hind in pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times.
Con. It says, let her breast satisfy thee at all times. Hey, Isaiah chapter 8:9, it says, who is the Most High God going to teach? Him that is weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. And you got to make sure you desire the sincere milk of the word. So tonight, we finna be getting in there a little deep tonight, man. A little bit of prophecy. Woo! Kwam Yasharala. All praises to the Most High for giving us, letting us make it through the week. It's another Sabbath. Let's go. We finna get in there tonight, man. Good, man. We finna be eating good, man. I'm gonna grab this precept. Song of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, I am coming to my sister, my spouse. Hey, give me Proverbs 7:4, King. Proverbs 7:4. It says, I am coming to my garden, my sister, my spouse. And I want to grab a precept for that real quick.
Con, this is Proverbs 7:4. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman.
So this whole verse that I'm going to read is spiritual. It's going into the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Whenever you see like in Proverbs chapter 7:4, it says sister, but it's talking about wisdom. It says, I am coming to my garden, my sister, my spouse. I have gathered my myrrh and my spice. I have eaten my honey with my honeycomb. Excuse me, my honey with my honey. Now everybody be aware that honey and honey is synonymous with wisdom, knowledge, understanding on like an intermediate level. Sweet, just like the word Bible. It touch your tongue and it's sweet, and everybody say, mmm. Then the rest of the verse says, I have drunk my wine with my milk. Eat, O friends, drink. Yea, drink abundantly, beloved. So he says, I'm drinking my wine with my milk. Now we know on a real earthly level, you don't mix wine and milk. If anything, you'd mix wine with water, But we know that milk is synonymous with the basics. What they say, what's that basic instructions before leaving earth. That's the acronym for Bible. Basic instructions before leaving the earth. Now the basic instructions before leaving the earth is the Bible, the milk of the word, the things that's easy to be understood, like knowing your nationality, knowing the Ten Commandments, knowing that Yahweh Shai died for you and that he comes from your lineage and he comes to save you, knowing that enemies on earth. That's the basic scriptures, knowing, getting to know who your forefathers really are, like Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Ezra, Nehemiah, the three children, Daniel, the book of Maccabees. We got all of these forefathers, man. That's just the simple like basics of the Bible. But you drink your milk with wine, and the wine is something that you give to a man, or a mature woman. You don't give it to a baby, because the wine, it actually it puts you in a certain mind. It tell you everybody knows you can't give wine to a baby. You got to be kind of mature in the Bible. You kind of got to be rounded. You want to be in the truth for a little bit of time. You don't give wine to somebody that just woke up to the truth 2 days ago. Wine is for men who actually knows a little history, who actually invest in their time, actually walking in the law, statutes, and commandments, not just talking about them. Wine is for those kind of men. So he said he drinking some of this milk. And then he said, eat, O friends, drink. Yea, drink abundantly, O beloved. So tonight, we finna drink and we eat this spiritual meal. friends and with our family, man, with the Mashpaka, with Yasharala. It's another Sabbath, man. It don't get no better than this. We could be doing anything tonight, literally anything tonight, but I wouldn't rather be nowhere else, man. Aharon, you got anything you want to bring out real quick before I really open up?
No, you got it.
All right, Khan. I'm gonna grab one more scripture before I open up, depending on the spirit, really. But this is chapter 9 and verse 1. Hey, actually, could you grab that for me, Baba Kashar?
It cut out when you said it. What, 9 and 1?
Proverbs. Am I skipping?
I mean, a little bit. It's a real minimum on my end. I don't know if you are on live.
Con. Hey, everybody in the chat, I sound clear. Yeah, I heard just I think I know what you're saying, because just slightly every so often yours cut out just a little bit. But shalom to Uriah, Yahweh, Tarzan, Vince, Shabbat Shalom, Soldier Quadash Shalom, Tahawam Mayam, Officer Tahawam Mayam, King, Dani Shalom. All praises for another Sabbath. We got Soldier Yada Diana Cut, Shalom King, man. It's a good one. Tonight we're going to hop into Daniel chapter 8, one of our favorite chapters in Daniel. But grab that in Proverbs chapter 9 for me, Baba Kashar.
Khan, this is Proverbs 9 and 1. It says, Wisdom hath builded her house. She hath hewn out her 7 pillars. She hath killed her beast. She hath mingled her wine. She hath also furnished her table. What?
Keep reading.
Khan. Verse 3, it says, She hath sent forth her maidens. She crieth upon the highest places of the city. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that wanted understanding, she saith to him, Come, eat of my bread and drink of the wine which I have mingled.
Come. It says, this is what wisdom is saying. You know, she builded her what did it say? Her house, out her 7 pillars. And everybody should know what a pillar is. A pillar is like something that supports a building. You know, a pillar supports things. That's what wisdom does. It tells you that in the book of Isaiah, I believe the 33rd chapter, the 6th verse, it says, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Wisdom and knowledge is those that's going to stabilize your whole foundation, your whole house. Right? And that's synonymous with our Lord and Savior. Right? It says, she hath killed her beast, she hath mingled her wine, she hath also furnished her. And if you don't know, hey, I grab Psalms chapter 23. Psalms 23. This is a fire chapter. It's a trademark chapter in the Christian church, but they don't really know what's going on, to be honest. Read verse 5, 23 and 5.
God, this is Psalms 23 and verse 5. It says, Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over.
God is preparing a whole feast in the midst of our enemies. A whole table, a whole feast. With that feast, you're going to have wine, you're going to have water, you're going to have lamb, milk, grapes, bread. Hey, leavened bread, unleavened bread. Hey, can you think of any honeycombs? We're going to have, hey, what was we, unleavened bread, cakes. We're going to have all of that, man. All of this is going to be at this feast. You have to understand that all of these things at this feast, it's not just a physical feast, it's a spiritual feast. I'm going to grab this precept. I'm going to save it. But anyways, the Most High God is preparing this feast for us, and our enemies is going to watch us eat it, and there's nothing they can do. And they can't take part in that feast. Proverbs 9 and 4 says, so is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that wants of understanding, she said to him, Come eat of my bread and drink of the wine which I have mingled. So the people who don't have knowledge and understanding, the people who are simple, hey, turn in hither and come eat of this bread and drink of this wine, man. And we know those things are synonymous with Yahweh Shah also, right? He told you that in the book of John, chapter 6. It tells you that he told everybody to eat of his flesh and to drink of his blood. And those things are synonymous with the wine, and it was synonymous with bread. And those things represent Yahweh Shah and wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. If you have ears to hear, man. Khan, you got anything, King, before I open up this time? Khan. So, first and foremost, all praises, all honor, and all glory go to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah. So, without further ado, Shabbat Shalom. I'm glad that everybody tuned in tonight so far. Everybody should turn to Daniel, the 8th chapter. Daniel, the 8th chapter, man. It's going to be a good one, man. And we're going to try and take our time because it's going to be filled with a lot of information, a lot of precepts. So we're trying to move at a decent pace so everybody can understand. So everybody should be there. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. No, actually, you got it.
Con, it's all good. This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 1. Hold on, so I'm trying to look for something real quick. This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 1. It says, in the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first.
Yeah. Daniel chapter 8 and 1, we got to kind of put a timeline in our head. So we was carried away captive by Babylonians. You can read about that in 2 Kings. It kicks off at like the 24th chapter. That's when the Babylonians carry away part of the southern kingdom. And who was it? I should know this king. And I'm going to just turn there so everybody can walk with me. I said I was going to move at a slower pace, so this is me doing that. And I'm doing it for a reason, of course, because we got to know who Belshazzar is. And could you grab a precept showing them in Daniel who Belshazzar is while I get this in 2 Kings?
This is Daniel chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the thousands. It says Belshazzar, verse 2, Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels, which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines might drink therein. So Belshazzar is Nebuchadnezzar's son. Now, also, when we read in the earlier chapters of Daniel, you will see a name, Belteshazzar, something like that. Belteshazzar. That is the name Nebuchadnezzar gave unto Daniel. So you don't want to get those two mixed up. Belshazzar is Nebuchadnezzar's son. Belteshazzar is Daniel.
God. So real quick, this is 2 Kings chapter 24. So he just showed you with a precept in Daniel chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. He showed you who Belshazzar is, and he showed you that by going to 5. So this is me going to 2 Kings chapter 24, just showing you when Nebuchadnezzar really just hit the scene. So this is verse 1. 2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 1, it says, in his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years, and he turned and rebelled against him. So this is when Jehoiakim started to rebel against being Nebuchadnezzar's servant. Then you had Nebuchadnezzar come up and he besieged in Israel. Verse 13 and 14, it tells you where he took all of the golden vessels from our temple in Jerusalem And not only did he take the valuable things that was in Solomon's temple, he also took all of the elite men of Israel. So the blacksmiths, the warriors, the mighty men, the men of wisdom. He took all of those men. I actually want to describe the precept because it's going to do it more justice. So, Kings chapter 24:14 says, "And he carried away all Jerusalem and all the princes and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained save the poorest of the people of the land." So Nebuchadnezzar, his host down there, they took all of the mighty men in Israel, and they left the poor men to be keepers of the land, to be vine dressers. And they tell you that in 2 Kings, the 25th chapter. You got anything, King?
Uh-uh.
All right, kind. So we just kicked off Daniel chapter 8, verse 1. It's already packed. It's already going crazy, man. So I hope everybody taking notes. We got Soldier Quadash in the cut being a scribe tonight too. So if you miss a precept, Lord will catch it, and you can go to the chat, jot it down in your own notes for safekeeping. So verse 2, King.
Con, this is Daniel chapter 8 and verse 2. It says, "And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass, when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai." Verse.
So if you want more information about that province and Shushan, it kind of talks about it in the book of Esther. But for the sake of time, we're gonna keep pushing. Verse 3.
Verse 3. It says, "Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last."
So right now, he's introducing the animal. The first animal that's introduced is a ram. And that ram, it has characteristics. The characteristic named, the ram had 2 horns. 2 horns. But then it says something else. One of those horns was longer than the other one. It stood up higher than the other one. So that's something to take into account. It's a ram with 2 horns, and one of the horns was longer. You got anything you want to add? Con. Let's keep moving.
Con. This is verse 4. It says, "I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great."
One thing I want to make mention. Let me grab this preset. You can stay where you at. I'm gonna grab this in Psalms 49 because I want everybody to kind of be with us a little bit, because we know, but other people might not know. So this is Psalms 49 and 20. Psalms 49 and 20 says, "Man that is honored and understandeth not is like the beast that perish." So right now it's giving us a ram. A ram is obviously a beast, but I'm giving you the clue. I'm flipping a coin. I'm telling you what head is on. This beast that is talking about, this ram, it's not talking about an actual beast. It's actually talking about men, right? And we're gonna prove that over time. But just know that when the Bible says beast, it's not always talking about an actual animal, it's talking about actual men or kings sometimes, right? You got anything?
Nope.
Con, let's keep pushing.
Con. Verse 5. "And as I was considering, I'm in Daniel 8 and 5. It says, "And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes."
Okay, hold on. So first we got the ram. The ram got two horns instead, but one of the horns was longer than the other, or higher than the other. Now we got a new animal, a new beast hitting the scene, and that beast is the goat, the he goat. Um, it said, and he had one horn between his eyes. So the goat has one horn, and the ram has two horns. What is this talking about? We're gonna keep reading. We're gonna find out.
Okay. Verse 6. And he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground, and snapped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, toward the south, and towards the east, and towards the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them.
So Salakia, real quick. So you read from there. You read from 6 all the way down to 10, or 7 to 10. And I'll be honest, if you don't know, you kind of gonna tune out, and you just gonna wait for the breakdown because it's talking in code. You don't understand nothing we was talking about. So I know everybody was following me. We got the ram with horns. We got the goat with one horn. I don't know what happened from there. The goat destroyed the ram. Then the goat is at his what it says, verse 8, it says, therefore the he goat waxed very great after he destroyed the ram. And when he was strong, the great one was broken. Before it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. That sounds like a different language. But I promise you, tonight, before the end of the night is over, we give you a little bit of understanding on that. And Lord willing, you walk away with a smile on your face because you can understand that verse. So we're going to keep moving now. Over time, we're going to come back to verse. We're going to give some more light on that. Some more light on the ram. Who is the ram? The horns, the goat. We're going to shed light on all of this. But for right now, we're going to keep moving with the chapter. And then we're going to double back and put precepts on it. We're going to go into history. We're going to shed on all of this. And Lord willing, everybody's edified a little bit. Con. So let's keep pushing. We was like on verse 11.
Con. This is Daniel 8 and 11. It says, yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Salakia. Here goes another key point to let you know that it's not actually talking about a beast. It says he will cast down the daily sacrifice. It's not going into an actual beast. This is to let you know, is the Bible always break down itself. And we finna prove that tonight. The Bible always break down itself. But verse 12. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto the certain saint, which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice, and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. And it came to pass, when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and saw for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision.
So Daniel just received this vision. You got goats with horns and rams with horns and the horns breaking and 4 new ones and the daily sacrifice. And what is this talking about? He's going to give you the vision, but even after he give you the vision, it can still be broken down some more. So keep reading.
Verse 17. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O son of man, of at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep, and my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. It says, The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia.
So everybody should remember this. I went above and beyond to say the ram. The ram had 2 horns. One stood above the other. The ram, what's the Akkadian dynasty empire?
It's the I get it real quick.
Khan.
It's spelled Achaemenid Empire. Achaemenid Empire, something like that.
And all of that's talking about is just talking about the Persian and the Medes, right? So the 2 horns actually goes back to 2 of those kings, the Persian and the Persian king, and then the Median king. And we're gonna get more into that. Let you breathe.
Verse 21. And the rough he-goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king.
So if you know anything about history, you got the Babylonians with Nebuchadnezzar. The Babylonians was conquered by the Persian and Medes. And if you know anything after that, the Persian and Medes was conquered by the Greeks. But who was that king? Let's grab the first precept, Doc. And First Maccabees. Real quick.
This is First Maccabees, chapter 1, in verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, the son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius the king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece.
The first over who?
The first over Greece.
So the first real king over Greece, over the whole empire of Greece, was Alexander the Great. That's what he's known as. Alexander. That's what he's known as. We call him Alexander though. Right? So the he-goat that was talked about, let's back to verse 8 real quick, and then we'll continue on with the chapter. 8 and 8, Baba Kashad King. Actually, Slack, let's go to 8. Dang, man. 8 and 5.
It says, and as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes.
So the goat represents the kingdom, and that notable horn that was between his eyes was Alexander. So I just wanted to point that out because I said over time we're going to jump back. We're going to jump back. And we're going to jump back. We're going to jump in and out of these precepts and in and out of time. Lord willing, somebody get understanding. So with that, let's go back to where we was.
This is Daniel chapter 8 and verse 22. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
Kind of finish it out for me.
Verse 26. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days. And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days. Afterward, I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it.
So this vision, nobody understood it. Hey, get me a Romans. Let me get it. I think it's Romans 11. It's been a minute since I grabbed it. I think this is what I want, Salakia. Give me Isaiah 29 and 10. Isaiah 29.
God. This is Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 10. It says, for the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes, and the prophets and your rulers and seers hath he covered.
So the Most High God actually poured a certain spirit out on earth and the people of the earth that their eyes couldn't really see and that their ears really couldn't hear, so that nobody could really understand the prophecies that was in his book. It says, verse 11, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he said, I cannot, for it is sealed. So these prophecies, it's like it's sealed, meaning it's closed, it's shut. And they delivered the book that was sealed to a man who was learned, who had wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. But that man turned around and said, nah, I can't open it, it's sealed. It's still shut. Verse 12 says, and the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, read this. And he said, I am not learned. So the learned man and the unlearned man, they both said, dang, this book is still sealed. It's still shut. Nobody going to be able to understand it. It says, that's basically all I wanted. And then in Romans chapter 13 and verse 11, Romans 13:11 says, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than we believe. So all of these prophecies, a lot of these things, it was always sealed. But now they starting to open up because the Most High God is pouring the Spirit back on us. Our salvation is nearer than what people really believe. And you can see that because the Most High God over time is opening up these prophecies, one by one. Here a little, there a little bit, So it's a beautiful thing whenever more people understand prophecies and what times they living in and who they really are according to this book. So we finna take a deeper look into this chapter. A deeper look into this chapter. You got anything you want to add, King?
Khan. So when we looking into this, you gotta understand where Daniel coming from, because starting at verse 15 is when Gabriel started to give the understanding of the breakdown. But at verse 1, it says Nebuchadnezzar's son is in rulership, and we know Nebuchadnezzar's son he's ruling over Babylon. Daniel didn't know about the Persians coming. He didn't know about that yet. The Persians coming, and on top of that, he didn't know Grecians. Who the hell is Greek? Who's a Greek? This is years before years after his time, Salakia. So you gotta understand where you're coming from. Imagine a angel came to you and was like, two nations is finna war up against each other. This nation gonna destroy him, but then 8 more people gonna rise out of this nation. You're like, what the hell? I don't get it, dude. I don't even know who these nations are. I don't even know what you're talking about. It's happened years and decades after Daniel. So this is why he really didn't understand it. This is why it was not imparted unto him. He got the breakdown, but he's like, yo, I don't know who these Greeks are. I don't know who the first king over the Greeks are. I don't. Man, Persians ain't even here. They ain't even took Babylon down yet. You telling me they finna just be running through everybody? I don't get it, dude.
Hey, you know he was probably like, take down Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar. Now this the mightiest kingdom on the earth. Ain't nobody. Nah, that ain't gonna sound right. That he goat.
Really?
These they a griffin. You know, if
He
you got
said they Griffin.
right, you know, if you got ears to hear, man. You got anything else?
Nah.
Con. So let's kick it off with um where should we start at? Back at like verse 3 or something?
Yeah. So this is Daniel 8:3. It
All
says,
right.
Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. You want me to touch on that, King? God. So we know from verse 20, Daniel 8:20, that the ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. But it says that he had two horns, and one horn came up higher than the last. What is that going into? That's going into how the Persians actually took over and captured Ecbatana. Ecbatana is the capital of Media. I got it right here. You can look it up. You can look up Persian takeover Ecbatana basically. And it says Ecbatana was captured from the Median ruler Astyages by the Persian king Cyrus the Great in 550 BC. So Cyrus had took over his capital, and basically they became one nation type deal. Everybody was under him. Everybody was under the Persians. It wasn't really just like Persians and Medes was equal. It's always the Persians and Medes. It's never the Medes and Persians. You know what I mean? It's always the Persians first and then the Medes, because they had more power, they had more structure. They were just a mightier nation during that time. So that's why that horn had rose up a little bit higher. The Persians was that horn that rose up a little bit higher. Now, you got something?
Yeah, I want to make a quick point.
Go ahead.
So every time it describes the ram or the he goat, it's a similar to represent power. They represent power, just like any animal, like a rhino. If it run at you and it got that horn on them, or a bull on that bull's head, it can kill somebody. It can push through you. That's what they would use. So the kings are those horns, you know. So like that's all I wanted to add. Represent power.
You good? So verse 4, Daniel 8:4, it says, and I saw the ram. This is still talking about the Persians and Medes. And I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great. And if you know anything about the Persians and Medes, if you know anything about the Persian Empire, they was a great nation. It was a mighty nation. It was the men that had a group of 50 men called the Immortals. If you ever watched 300, you go watch 300. That's going over the Persians and Medes. That's talking about them. They were a mighty nation. They pushed everywhere, conquering, so much that they became great, as the Bible says. Now, verse 5. You got something?
All
right, verse 5. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground, and the he-goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Now, if we look back down to verse 21, it says the rough he-goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. We went over that. That's Alexander the Great. And Alexander, if you know anything about him, he was conquering so quickly. Everything he took over so quickly. It was so fast. That's why it says that his feet didn't touch the ground, basically, because he was moving that quick. He was just going with speed, you know. Go ahead, King.
So like in the book of First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 7, real quick to add on to what Officer Operon said. 1 and 7 says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. Back to you.
God, Alexander, he reigned 12 years and he had conquered so many people in that short time period. If you think about it, 12 years is not a long time. To go through and conquer nations, it would take almost a decade, damn near, to besiege one nation, just to starve them out, just to get them, just to win a battle, to get over their fences, to get over their cities, to get over their walls, you know. But no, he did it in a short time span. Con. Back to verse 6. No, I'm gonna read verse 5 again. It says, and as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. The goat is representing Grecia, and the notable horn is representing Alexander the Great. Verse 6. And he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram and brake his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Can you grab me First Maccabees 1:1 again, Baba Shah?
This is First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 1. It says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persian and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece.
So, Khan, notice it says he had smitten the king of the Persian and Medes. It didn't say he smitten the king of Persia. It didn't just say he smitten the king of the Medes. No, he smitten the king of Persia and Medes because they had already taken over the Medes. He had already taken over the Median. They had already assimilated with him, basically. So, Alexander, we see right here, Alexander destroying the ram. He pushed against him with choler and smote the ram and break his two horns, basically breaking down that Achaemenid Empire, basically the Persian and Mede Empire. That's all that's going into. He took down that empire. Now it's a whole nother empire that's about to rise up. You got anything?
You want me to read?
Yeah, you can, Baba Shah.
Con. We at verse 7 or 8?
Verse 8.
Okay, Con. Verse 8 says, therefore, remember, everybody, I told you we had to go back to this verse and examine this thoroughly. Therefore, the he-goat waxed very great. When he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven.
Khan. So, give me First Maccabees 1 in chapter. I said, give me First Maccabees 1 in 5, Baba Shah. I almost break that off.
You're good. First Maccabees 1 and 5. And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he died. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
Okay, Khan. So, did you say something?
Lie.
All right, Khan, like it. So we see back at Daniel 8 and 8, it says, therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. The horn was broken, which is going into Alexander. Alexander was broken. We've seen in First Maccabees that he fell sick and perceived that he should die. So what did he do? He called his fellow servants, such that had been honorable, that had been brought up with him, and parted his kingdom among them. Now when we go back to Daniel 8 and 8, it says, therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. This is going into him parting his kingdom amongst his brethren. Now, Now we got to get into a little bit of history. The 4 horns that came up from among him are the people known as the Diadochi. The Diadochi means the successors. And in the Diadochi, you have Ptolemy, you have Cassander, you have Lysimachus, and Seleucus. You have Ptolemy, that's the 4, Ptolemy, Cassander, Lysimachus, and Seleucus. So if you want to look up the Diadochi, it's spelled Diadochi, the Diadochi. Or you can look up the 4 generals after Alexander the Great, and you'll see who these men are. So after Alexander had fell sick, he had wanted to pardon his kingdom among his four friends, basically, and that's what they did. And now we're finna get into some more prophecy and more history going into the next chapters or the next verses. Salaki, you got anything, King?
I was just deciding if I wanted to move to my laptop so I could actually start screen sharing it so they could get a better visual of it. But you broke that down wonderfully. You know, hopefully they was taking notes on that. Where we at? Verse 9?
Verse 9.
Verse 9 says, out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east and toward the land.
So it says, and out of one of them, who's the them? It's talking about out of the 4 notable horns. It says, verse 9, and out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. Now, I'm going to go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 7. It says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. Many years and evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome. And that's basically all I want from right there. So out of those 4 horns, you got one little one that comes out, Antiochus. And I believe Antiochus comes from the Seleucid empire, of the Seleucid dynasty, however you want to call it.
Let me grab this precept right here to prove this real quick. And look, as you can see, Daniel chapter 8, verse 9, it links perfectly with Maccabees, 1 Maccabees chapter 1, perfectly to a T. That's why they wanted to take the Apocrypha out of the regular Bible. That's why they wanted to take it out, because it makes sense of the rest of the Bible to a T. They wanted to make it harder for us. But real quick, I wanted to grab a quick precept.
I knew you had the precept. I was just waiting on you to grab it.
So I'm gonna go to I believe it's 1 Maccabees chapter 4 and 7. I don't feel right. Second Maccabees.
Right.
Right. Second Maccabees. Second Maccabees chapter 4 verse 7. So right now, I'll show you that we got to backtrack a little bit. So we got the Persian and Medes. Then we got the Greeks. The Greeks have the Persian and Medes. Alexander the Great ruling over the whole kingdom. Alexander the Great dying. He like, here, these are my best friends, my closest friends since I was a boy. I'm going to give y'all my kingdom. 4 of them. You got Cassander, Ptolemy, Lysimachus, and Seleucus. But right now, we're targeting Seleucus' son. As it says in verse 9, Daniel chapter 8. Could you read that for me, King?
God, it says, and out of one of them came forth a little horn.
So out of one of them 4 men, there's another one comes out of them. It could be his son, his grandson. It could be just somebody. But it says out of one of the men, there's going to be a little horn. So now we're trying to show you through the precepts who that little horn is. And we're going to show you precepts, and we're going to show you history. Read that again, Bob Kasha.
Con, and out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great towards the south and towards the east and towards the pleasant land.
Con. So, get First Maccabees 1 and 10 one more time, Baba Kasha, and then I'm gonna pull this precept out. And hopefully that strengthens the point. So everybody.
Con, I'm gonna start at verse 9. This is First Maccabees 1 and 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years.
So, like, yeah, the 4 generals, they all put crowns on their heads. But out of one of them generals, now we're talking about the little horn in Daniel chapter 8. So Baba Kasha.
You said read it one more time?
Baba Kasha.
Con. It says, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus.
That wicked root is synonymous with that little horn in Daniel chapter 8 and verse 9. When you got that little horn, it's talking about that wicked root. It's the same thing as going perfectly. And now it's going to give you the name of who it is. Read that again.
And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes.
So the wicked root is synonymous with that little horn that came out of 4 generals. His name is Antiochus. Antiochus. Now watch this, so we can figure out which one of the generals had him. Which general does he come out of? So all of this starts to play you got to get the specifics sometimes to really understand what's going on in this time. So 2 Maccabees 4 and 7. 2 Maccabees 4 and 7 says, but after the death of Seleucus, remember, Seleucus was one of the 4 generals. So after Seleucus died, let me read it from the top. But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes, took the kingdom. So Seleucus died. Then his son, Antiochus, he's also known as Epiphanes, he took the kingdom after him. So you got Alexander the Great, he dies. Then you got his 4 generals, namely Seleucus. Seleucus dies. Then you got Antiochus. This is all prophesied in the book of Daniel chapter 8. This is Daniel, how far in the future this is. So everybody can see how serious this is. We just got taken over by the Babylonians. We in captivity. But Daniel is getting visions in the middle of that captivity. In the Babylonian captivity, the Babylonians got conquered by the Persian and Medes. The Persian and Medes got conquered by the Greeks. That far in the future. We got the Babylonians, the Persian and Medes, then the Greeks. And not only that, he's giving you people's sons of who that notable horn is, how wicked he was. That's far in the future. That's far. That's super far. That's a lot of years. That's a lot of generations. That's a lot of people. So, and look how perfectly it fits with Maccabees. That's crazy, man. How is he able to do this, man? And now we hear hundreds of years later, hundreds of years. We all the way, look, we got the Babylonian, Persian and Medes, Greek, Roman, American captivity. We're just now getting to understand it. Hey, let me grab this precept real quick. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. This is how cold the Most High God is. The kind of God we serve. Ecclesiastes 3 and 1. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So everything is fitting together like a perfect puzzle. Right? Everything. It's like clockwork for the Most High God. He just sitting back, letting these things unfold right in front of my eyes, man. Hey, let me grab this precept in Matthew. Man, I kind of don't know it off the top. Salakia, man. Hey, it says, hey, I see if you can find this precept for me. Man, I'm so upset that I don't know it.
What you looking for?
It says many blessed are your eyes for they see. I think it's Matthew 13. Blessed are your eyes for they see.
That sound
It's
like
in,
John.
it might be. It said, blessed are your eyes for they see. And then it says, many righteous men and prophets have desired to see the things which ye see.
No, you're right. You're right. That's Matthew 13:16.
Con, that felt right. Let me see. Matthew 13, verse 16. It says, but blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see the things, either to see those things which ye see and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear and have not heard them. Hey, he didn't even get the understanding all the way of his own vision. He didn't even understand it. But that's why blessed, man. Because he wished he could be in our position. He wished he could have the understanding. Blessed are our eyes and blessed are our ears, man. I can't say that. That's a beautiful thing that the God did for us. It's clockwork, man. I gotta grab one more, Salakia. It's like Isaiah 46 and 10. Or, let me check. Isaiah 46 and 10. Woo! Isaiah 46 and 10 says, declaring the end from the beginning. That's what God do. He declares the end from the beginning. Who else can do that? It says, and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand. I will do all my pleasure. He said, look, man, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to declare the very, very, very end from the very, very, very beginning, man. I'm going to do it how I want to do it. That's the kind of God we serve, man. That's a beautiful thing, man. That's the God that we serve. We're supposed to boast in that. Like, now, y'all got idols. We got the one true living God. If that don't put a smile on your face, I don't know, man. I don't know what will. It's like, yeah. You got anything, King?
Kind. All this should let you. It should really put a boost on your faith, because you see everything that's happening in Daniel, and then you see it in Maccabees, and it's actual history. You know, a lot of people, a lot of worldly people today, they reject the Apocrypha, but all the scholars actually know that First and Second Maccabees is actually like a historical event. Like they know that is true. If they don't take the Second Esdras and all that and everything else, they know Maccabees is true. You know, so this should really put a big boost on your faith and let you really see how stuff is going down. It's like, damn, Most High said this will happen, and it happened. Most High said this was gonna happen, and it happened. And he's breaking everything down to the T. And we ain't even got to the crazy part yet. You know, it's something that I'm ready to bring it out because it's crazy and it's fun. It's real fun, you know. But we're gonna keep going through it because really, this whole prophecy, this is one of my favorite prophecies, just because how to the T it is. You know, it's one of the first prophecies that I learned. It's crazy. It's like, damn, the Most High God is great, you know.
Shoo. God. Let's go, man. Where we at?
God, can you read verse 9 and then read 10 and then stop for me?
What book am I
Daniel
in?
8.
Okay, con. So I can turn.
Baba Kasha.
Con. I got you. Daniel chapter 8 and 9. And you said read down to 10.
Con.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 9 says, and out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars of the ground and on them.
So Khan, it lets you know that his empire was spreading so big that it even spread towards the pleasant land. What is the pleasant land? That's Israel. That's where we at. And it says, and it cast down the stars to the ground. Who are the stars? What do the stars represent? This is First Chronicles chapter 27 and 23. And David took not the number of them from 20 years old and under, because the Lord said he would increase Israel like to the stars of heaven. So Israel is represented as the stars in this scripture. So he had cast us down and took us down. And if you know anything about history, this is the beginning of the Hellenization period, or the Hellenistic era. You can look that up. This is the very beginning of the Hellenistic period.
And I want to make a quick. Hey, can you get Galatians 3 and 28 before it escaped me?
3 and 28.
Baba Gasha.
This is Galatians 3 and 28. It says, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ Yahushua.
Why is Paul? Hey, this is the number one scripture that you see Christian pulling. Now, you can be like to a Christian, you know, the Greek in this is talking about an Israelite, but can you prove it? Can you persuade that Christian that it's really talking about an Israelite? Can you prove it? How do you prove that to them when it says there's neither Jew nor Greek, and it's not actually talking about them heathen? If you haven't studied, if you don't know about the Hellenistic period, if you don't know the prophecy that Daniel spoke about, you don't read these, you don't know about Antiochus, you don't know about Alexander the Great, you don't know about the Diadochi, you don't know about any of these empires, how can you thoroughly prove that that's what it's talking about? We've been taught that when it says there's neither Jew nor Greek, bond nor free, that is talking about an Israelite. How do we prove that though? How do you know? Right? How do you know that? You got to get the understanding of Daniel chapter 8. You got to know that. Out of all of the captivities that's talking about, why is it talking about Greeks? That's when the Israelites, the southern kingdom, was Hellenized. That's when, hey, give me Second Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6, real quick.
This is Second Maccabees.
You got it.
This is Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. It says, then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone and through none other.
Second Maccabees 6 and 6.
Salakia, I thought you said Second Esdras. I'm bugging. This is Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. It says, neither was it lawful for a man to keep a Sabbath day or ancient feast, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
So this is actually in the time of Antiochus, the wicked root, that notable horn, that little horn. This is in the same time as that, right? It says around that time, you cannot profess yourself at all to be a Jew. You know how we walk around American like, yeah, I'm an Israelite. If you got caught doing that, you would get put to death. That's coming soon to America. They see you walking around with the Bible, they're going to kill you. That's what they did in First Maccabees. If they seen women teaching the law, statutes, and commandments, circumcising their sons on the 8th day, they would strangle that woman. They would strangle that baby. It tells you that in First Maccabees. You know who they had as sacrifice? They just profaned our temple. Read Second Maccabees 6 and 5 real quick. Real quick.
God, this is Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 5. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth.
It says the altar was filled with profane things. And the law said you cannot do that. Man, we got to start really focusing on history, because history repeats itself. Now, let me grab this account real quick in First Maccabees. A lot of people don't know this right here. Let me grab this real quick. I don't know it by heart, but I know I can find it. Now this is First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 56. Watch this. First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 56. It says, and when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire. So when they found the books of the law, which is equivalent to our Bible, because this Bible is the book of the law. It says when they found them, they ripped it in pieces and they burned it. They burnt the scriptures. They burnt the Bibles up. So we would be stripped of our heritage. Jeremiah prophesied of that, 17:4, that we would be cut off from our heritage, our nationality, our customs that the Most High God gave to us. The law, statutes, and commandments, we don't know how to keep those as a nation no more, right? Because men was actually burning our heritage up. I just forgot the word, but basically, y'all know what. Everybody should understand that they tried to whitewash all things. And if I'm gonna grab it real quick because I'm right here. This is First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 8, and laid over the law wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. You know how white people, they whitewash our pictures? They make even on movies and films and books that they make today. Moses is a black man. Everybody understand that. Christ, our Messiah, is a black man. David is a black man. They whitewash those things and paint the likeness of their images. David is a white man. King or Yahushua or Jesus Christ, he's a white man with stringy hair and blue eyes. Moses is a white man. That's in the Bible, right? What's the word I'm thinking of? It's the proper term for whitewashing, but I forget it. It escaped me right now. The point I was trying to make is that it says there's neither Jew nor Greek, bond or free. You know what bond mean? Bond just means a servant or a slave. Because it goes back to when we was bond and we were slaves under the Greeks, under Antiochus, under Seleucus, under their whole kingdom. How can you persuade them and learn that though? How can you teach them that? Right? Give me 2 Corinthians 12 and 2, Salaki, and then we'll get back to Daniel. I'm getting carried away.
It says 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2. It says, I knew a man in Christ above 14 years ago. Is that it?
1 Corinthians. I call it second, Salaki. That's me.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2. It says, you know that you were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led.
He said, ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led. Now, I'm going to pull one more precept out. And these are the precepts that you can put in your bag whenever a Christian pulls Galatians 3 and 28, where it says, there's neither Jew nor Greek, bond or free. Right? You can pull up Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. Watch this. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to the whole kingdom that all should be one people. Now you got to understand that Antiochus is a Greek. It says Antiochus, he wrote to his whole kingdom that everybody should be one people. So Antiochus, he had Hamites, Arabians, Israelites. He had everybody in his kingdom. He had a big kingdom. It says he wrote to all of them people that was in his kingdom to be one people. When it says one people, it's talking about a one world order, a one world government where everybody obeys Antiochus. Everybody's going to be on terms. And that's coming soon to America. Why? Because history repeats itself. It says, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. So it says all of the people, the heathens, they agreed to do what Antiochus said. Verse 43, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. So the Israelites, you got strong Israelites consenting or agreeing to do what Antiochus said. It's one world government. So The same thing that happened then is going to happen now. You got mighty men in our nation who's so gifted with the Bible, who can go into the prophecies, who can pull out 100 steps, who's really fluent with words. You know, this man might have a long beard, the long fringes, his face always oiled, he buff. There's going to be men like that who consent to this new world order. They're gonna actually agree to it and say, okay, we can do this. You said all I got to do is eat pork. You know, all I got to do is believe in Buddha, or all kind of stuff. It says, for the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. So Antiochus sent letters to our people in Jerusalem that we should obey the strange laws of the land that he was setting up. You make a sacrifice, you got to sacrifice it on the altar for Zeus. That's in the Bible. Zeus, the Greek god, is actually in the Bible. It's in the it's in 2 chapter 6, I believe. Oh, and Lord willing, we'll get there. Salakim. Verse 45, it says, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and offerings in the temple, and that they should obey the Sabbath days and the festival days. So he's telling the Israelites through a letter that you got to start. You can't keep the festivals. You can't keep Passover. You can't keep Feast of Tabernacles. You can't keep Atonement, and you can't keep Sabbath days. That's what he's telling the Israelites. It says, and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels and idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. So he was having us sacrifice unclean things on our altar. It says that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. So if you didn't get down with this one world order setting up, and you disobeyed the commandment, and that king was a Greek at that time, Antiochus, if you didn't agree to the things he was saying, you would get put to death. If you got caught circumcising your kids, you would get put to death. I call keeping the Sabbath day, they're going to make war against you. They're going to put you to death. And it's going to be the same thing. If you got caught with a Bible, they was going to kill you, and they was going to burn that Bible. You know, that's why it's important to remember the things that's in this Bible. That's why it's important to study, because there's going to be a point in time, if you enduring to the end and you really enduring, you might not have a Bible. Right now, you know how many Bibles I got in my house? I'm not going to have the luxury of that. You know how many things I can get to on my phone, and all the notes I got written down and in my phone and in my notes, and the MacBook, all of these things. We're not going to have that luxury. That's why it's good to memorize stuff. When everybody starts saying Christ is here, he's over here, he's in the desert, or he's over here, you got to remember what it said in Matthew chapter 24, that it says, when Yahushua come back, every eye will see him. Because if you're in the desert looking for Christ, you know what's going to be waiting for you? A whole fleet of Edomites, and they're going to hang you. So you got to start memorizing these things. You don't have to remember it line upon line and word upon word. It's good if you do, to be detailed and to be studious and to show yourself approved, but you got to make sure you remember the big picture. You got to keep an account of these things, man. But hey, I grabbed verse 10 in Daniel chapter 8. I can grab Daniel chapter 8 and 11.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me, verse. I want the sacrifice where it's down. So like that's what I want. I can't.
You want what?
Basically, where Antiochus destroyed our altars and Daniel chapter 8, sacrificing, he made it desolate. He made it desolate. And I'm gonna pull out these accounts again to prove that it's Antiochus and it's in the book of Maccabees. And so everybody understand, when you go back to Galatians chapter 3 and 28, and it says there's neither Jew nor Greek. You got to have the understanding of what happened to the Israelites the times of the Greeks. That's why it's expressing those things. There's neither bond nor free, man or female, man or woman, because it's expressing that we all Israelites, even though we was carried away captive. We all Israelites. That's all he's trying to say. It don't matter if you was put into slavery by the Greeks. It don't matter if you was put in slavery by Romans. Hey, look, there's neither Jew or Greek, bond or free, male or female. For ye are all one in Christ, because the Most High God sent the only begotten Son, Yahushua, to redeem them ones who was cast away, to bring you back to the fold, to bring you back home. You know what I'm saying? Right? Let's you got that for me, King?
Khan, this is Daniel chapter 8 and 11. It says, yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Going into, he put down his altar and his temple. Verse 12. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. So he actually cast down our temple and the truth and put down his. Go ahead, King.
Khan. Now let's grab this account and Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 1. Watch
6
this.
and 1.
Khan. So look, real quick, so like cutting you off. So we just read and what you read, Maccabees 8 and 12, or where was you at?
8. Wait, what?
You read where he basically where he destroyed the temple or the altar.
I just got done reading Daniel 8 and 11.
Okay, Khan. That's what I was wanting to like it. So I'm just trying to make sure everybody's following along. So in Daniel chapter 11, reading down, it tells you that Antiochus, he was the one who was going to destroy our altar and our temple and cast it down and make it desolate for a certain amount of time. Now I'm going to show you in Maccabees and Second Maccabees where that happened. He destroyed or tore down or profaned our temple, and he set up his own temple. So we're going to show you different accounts in Maccabees where he actually did that. And you could go ahead and start at verse 1, King.
This is Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 1. It says, not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of their God.
So the king is Antiochus. The king, he sent an old man to try and persuade the Israelites to stop keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of God. Verse 2.
And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and that in Garizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place.
So he wanted us to pollute our temple and to start calling it the temple of Jupiter Olympus. Now, man, I should have pulled this up earlier, but I feel like this is important. So I'm finna go to the StreamYard. I'm gonna pull it up on my screen as best as I can, man. So bear with me. Let me mute this. So one second. So all right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so let me share my screen real quick. I'm still learning how to use this. I don't be on there like that. Can you see my screen, bro?
No, I can see you, but I can't see your screen.
All right, hold on. I ain't do something right. Share screen. Chrome has permission. Oh my goodness. You know how to do this?
If you're talking to me, then no, I don't.
Dang it.
You trying to touch on the part about Jupiter?
Yeah. I want to pull it up. Type in man. See, which Zion was in there. StreamYard wants to share the contents of your screen. I'm saying share. See, they finna get me. All right, man. Not working. Whatever, man. All right. Well, I'm gonna just pull up the account. I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna read it to you. So all you got to type in is exactly what the verse say. It says, "Temple of Jupiter Olympus." If you type that in, it's gonna take you to some stuff. You know, even if you go to the Wikipedia, you can't miss. You know, it says Olympian Zeus is a former colossal temple at the center of the Greek capital Athens. It was dedicated to Olympian Zeus, a name originating from his position as the head of the Olympian gods, right? And everybody knows who Zeus is. Zeus is the thunder god in ancient Greek. You know, Aharon, if you got any more information on it, you can go ahead and bring that out, King.
Zeus is basically the top so-called god in the ancient times. He is the sky god, you know. He's the one that everybody prays to. He's the one that everybody fears. He is the I believe the bigger brother of all the other gods. And Jupiter and Zeus are synonymous with each other, just like my brother brought out. Back in the Greek time, they had Zeus. Then when the Romans conquered, they changed his name to Jupiter. But you know, it was always, it's just really just a different language kind of thing. You know, you got Pluto, Mars, all of them is the same gods as the Greeks. They just changed the name a little bit. That's all that's going into. But they wanted us to worship Zeus, and they wanted us to sacrifice things unto Zeus in our altar, in our sanctuary, which we know is not correct at all. But go ahead, King.
We know that's not lawful. Now, it tells you that this will happen in Daniel chapter 8 and verse 11, reading down. That's why we're going through to break this down, because it links up with prophecy. Now verse 3 and Second Maccabees chapter 6, Baba Gashar.
This is Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 3. It says, "The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful."
Hey man, it's a lot of meat in these books and Maccabees and Maccabees. He said the temple was filled with riot and reviling or reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of holy places. So the holy places is going back to the temple, altar, the things that was holy. You understand? The thing that was sacred and separated for the Most High God. You know, the things where we would put our treasure, the things that Solomon had set up. All of these things was holy. They had harlots and strippers, and they was making mirth. They was probably brawling and fighting. It said it was riots in there. That's what the heathens was doing in the place of where God was, man. That's crazy. Like even today, like in the church, we know it's a lot of wickedness in the Christian church, but you don't just have people actually, having church. A lot of times you never see fights and riots breaking out inside of church. It's like a line of respect with the church, but think about how much more for the temple of the Most High God, the actual temple of the Most High God. You got anything?
Con, I got a quick precept.
Time.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 45. It says, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings. This is Antiochus taking away that daily sacrifice that's mentioned in Daniel 8. It says, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. It says, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. And that's basically what they had us bringing into our temples. And that's why it said in Second Maccabees chapter 3, or Slakia, Second Maccabees chapter 6. That's why I said in Second Maccabees chapter 6 that that they brought things that were not lawful. They brought things into the temple and into the altar that were not lawful, bringing in unclean beasts, sacrificing unto idols, so on and so forth. When it was a holy place, it was a holy temple. It was set apart. It was supposed to be, lamb and sheep and stuff of that sort. But instead, they had harlots. They had sodomites, they had so on and so forth. A sodomite actually means it's going into a male temple prostitute. And then you got women that's prostituting in there as well. It's just a bunch of wickedness that's going on in that so-called sanctuary, or in that temple during that time. You had people bringing in swine's flesh, altering, sacrificing it to idol Zeus, to Jupiter. That's what they had going on, and all of this happened under who? That wicked root, that little horn that came up, which is who? Antiochus. This all happened under Antiochus. You got anything, King?
I'm gonna keep reading on Second Maccabees chapter 6. Now, if you got ears to hear, the book of Maccabees, it's not in a particular order, but you got to understand that it has order to it, and through the precepts we can understand it. So First Maccabees chapter 1, a lot of it, the end of First Maccabees chapter 1, it links up with Second Maccabees chapter 6. That's why you see him profaning the altar in the temple in First Maccabees, and you see Antiochus doing the same thing in Second Maccabees chapter 6. It's the same account, just like the book of Numbers and Deuteronomy. It's the same accounts, but you getting a little more of certain accounts in those different books and in those different chapters. So in First Maccabees, it don't tell you about Zeus and the temple of Jupiter and Olympus. It don't tell you that by name in First Maccabees chapter 1, but it tells you it by name in Second Maccabees chapter 6. Right? In First Maccabees, it talks about the one world order. If you caught circumcising kids, or if you're doing this, calling yourself a Jew, if you didn't consent to his religion, then you get put to death. It's the same thing going on, and I'm gonna keep reading. So Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 5 says, the altar also was filled with things which the law forbiddeth. Like we just read in First Maccabees chapter 1 that they was offering swine's flesh. That's the unclean things, the profane things. Verse 6 says, neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. The same thing it says in First Maccabees. It says, and in the day of the king's birth every month, there were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. Moreover, so they was forced to eat of these things on the king's birthday. And a lot of times on their birthday, they would keep it not once a year, but 12 times a year, because they would keep their birthday every month. It says, moreover, there went out a decree to the neighboring cities of the heathen by suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews that they should observe the same fashion, be partakers of their sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery. So if you didn't conform to the new world order or this government and what they was establishing, the king, then you would get put to death. That's the same thing as saying in First Maccabees because it's the same account. He just putting a little detail in certain spots, man. You know. So, you got anything before we keep pushing or go back to Daniel?
No.
Okay, calm. So Daniel chapter, I'm gonna read 8 and 13. Daniel chapter 8 and verse 13 says, "Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto a certain saint spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice, Salakia, and the transgression of desolation, to get both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden foot?" So he like, how long is the sanctuary gonna get trodden underfoot? At how long is the host, meaning the Israelites, gonna be trodden underfoot? And you gonna see the interpretation. So right here, verse 14, it says, "And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. And it came to pass, when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, what the time of the end shall be the vision. So he know that this vision is for an appointed time, it's for the end times. It says, now as he was speaking with me, I was in deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And when he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in thy last end. It's like it. What shall be in the last end of the nation? For at the time appointed, the end shall be. The ram which thou sawest having two
Salakia.
horns.
So kind. Everything that we just broke down, he is basically giving an interpretation thereof. So you can go through and compare and contrast these verses from Gabriel to the verses that we just got done reading and talking about. But we can really jump down to about 24. It says, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. So Khan, that's just what we got done talking about. Him setting up certain things. He got rid of the Israelites' altar. He set up his own altar. He set up his own gods. He set up his own laws. This, that, and the third. You know, do this or die. Do this or we're gonna kill your children. Don't get circumcised. Eat swine's flesh. Don't keep the Sabbath day. Don't call yourselves a Jew. You now have to call yourself a Greek. You know, going down to verse 25. And through his policy also shall he cause craft to prosper in his hand. It says through his policy. All of this is just policies, you know. He just setting up rules and regulations and policies. Do this and do that, do this and do that. I'm going to keep going. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. What does it mean by peace? He shall destroy many. Let
Let me
me
grab.
see. Yeah. Where's it at in First Mac? Is it in First Maccabees? I thought it was.
Yes, verse 30.
30.
Kind. First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 30. First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 30 says, and speak peaceable words unto them, but all with deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel.
So Khan, he it says back in Daniel 8, and through his policy he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. What does that mean? He spoke peaceable words, you know. Come over here, come be a Greek, come serve my God, come do this, that, and the third. But when you actually get down with it, he's killing you, you know. His words were softer than oil, but they were drawn swords. And that's basically what's going on. And that's what we see. I'm gonna keep going. Daniel 8:25. It says, he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Now, this is kind of my favorite part. Let's go to Second Maccabees. Yeah, let's go to Second Maccabees chapter 9, and we see. Hold on, somebody just put a comment. T3X42 chick said the books of Maccabees isn't canonical scripture. Obviously, they look like a chick. Obviously, she's in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's what it looked like, because we're going through prophecy in Daniel and in history about how Maccabees is actual scripture, how it's inspired.
Hey,
and it looked like she loved America. This is the wrong place for you. This is just the wrong place.
Right. Hey, think about this. In John chapter 10, Jesus, Yahushua, he was keeping a feast called the Feast of Dedication. Where is that in the Bible? Genesis through Revelation. Where is the Feast of Dedication that Jesus kept? You find it to be in the Apocrypha. It's in the book of Maccabees. The feast of dedication that Jesus Christ himself kept, you find it in the book of Maccabees. So you don't really know what's going on. You ain't really studied. All right, go ahead, King. It's back to you.
And another great point, when we look in the so-called canonical books, we see Babylonian captivity, we see Egypt captivity, we see Assyrian, we see what else? Persian and Mede. We don't see Greek, and then it jumped to Romans. Where was the Greek captivity at? It's because they took it out. The Greek captivity is in Second Maccabees. Why is that not there? Why is that hidden? Because when Paul was speaking, like my brother brought out earlier, you can go to Romans and see where he said to the Jews and to the Greeks. Why didn't he say to the Jews and to the Romans? Why isn't that there? It's because he's talking to the so-called Hellenistic Jews that was in Greek at that time. But not finna get into it with this person. It's all good, miseducated and unlearned. It's all good. Now let's get to Second Maccabees chapter 9, because it says that he would be broken without hand, and he magnified himself. Let's see what that goes into.
You want me to take it down?
It don't matter. We can split it up. It don't matter, King.
I get the first part, and once you start elaborating, then we'll get it. First Slakia, Second Maccabees chapter 9. Woo, this chapter is so hot, man. Hey, y'all put y'all listening ears on, because this is that fire. It's that fire. So you're gonna find out that this whole chapter is talking about Antiochus. Antiochus is that wicked person who profaned our temple, right? Who had us offering to false gods, who was trying to set up a one world government. We finna read about him. Second Maccabees chapter 9 and verse 1 says, about that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia, for he had entered the city called Purpose, and he went about to rob the temple and to hold the city, whereupon the multitude running to defend themselves with their weapons put them to flight. And so it happened that Antiochus being put to flight, the inhabitants returned with shame. So he was trying to go take down the temple and get himself some money, but he got put to flight and he went home shame, because he didn't get the job done. Verse 3. Now when he came to Ecbatane, news was brought him what happened unto Nicanor and to Timotheus. Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him.
Now, if you don't know about Nicanor got his head and his arm took off. By who? The Jews. By the boys, basically. So Khan, he now when he heard that, he was hot. He was mad, pissed. Go ahead, King.
Verse 4, or Salakia, verse 4. Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee. Therefore commanded he his chariot men to drive without ceasing, and to dispatch the journey for judgment, Slakin, the judgment of God following him. For he had spoken proudly in the sort that he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common burying place of the Jews.
So Khan, now he kind of getting proud, getting boastful, getting in his bag or in his cup, as First Esdras would say. When we see in Daniel 8, it says that he would magnify himself in his heart. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. He magnifying himself in his heart. And he said he would make a common burying place of the Jews, meaning he would kill many. He was going to kill many of Jews, many of people, you know. But it says that judgment was on his ass. From who? From the Lord. We're going to see what this judgment is. Go ahead, King.
Con, where am I? 5 or 6?
Verse 5.
Verse 5. Woo! It's gonna get hot. Pay attention. Got some weird stuff going on in the chat, but pay attention to this. It's gonna get good. Verse 5. But the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, smote him with an incurable and invincible invisible plague. For as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels that was remediless, yeah, say that for me.
Remediless.
You get it was without remedy. Nothing could solve this problem. It was remediless came upon him, and torments of the inner parts.
So Khan, as soon as he had got done speaking these proud words against Israel, an invisible and incurable disease came unto him in his inner parts, his bowels. Why? Read verse 6.
Verse 6 says, that most justly, for he had tormented his bowels with many strange torments.
So the Most High God is putting a just judgment on this man because he had tormented other men's bowels. So now he's getting his bowels tormented. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Howbeit, he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but still was with pride, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanding to haste the journey. It came to pass that he fell down from his chariot and carried violently, so that having a sore fall, all the members of his body were much pained.
So Khan, even after he got these pains in his bowels, he didn't cease from his bragging. He was still filled with pride and he was breathing out fire. He was so pissed against the Jews. And he was in such haste to get to Jerusalem, he fell off his damn horse. And he fell off violently that all his body parts was hurting. All of them. He was in much pain because he was, the scriptures say pride goeth before a fall. And we see it literally right here in Maccabees. He had pride and now he fell. But that ain't it. We can keep going.
God. Verse 8. And thus he that a little afore thought he might command the waves of the sea.
Hold on. It says, he that a little afore thought he might command the waves of the sea. This man was filled with so much pride that he thought he himself could command the waves of the sea. Keep going.
Khan. So proud was he beyond the condition of man, and weighed the high mountains in the balance, was now cast on the ground and carried in an horse, showing forth unto all the manifest power of God.
So this man thought himself so highly and so esteemed beyond the condition of men, And now he fell off a damn horse. Now he on the ground, you know, among horse dung, showing the manifest power of God. Go ahead, verse 9.
Hey, Salakia. So earlier I was reading on the internet about Antiochus, right? The one we're reading right now. He actually believed he was Zeus in the flesh. So you could only imagine how prideful he was. He thought that he could actually command the sea. I gotta grab this in First Maccabees real quick if I can find it. Let me see. Man, it was something. Man, it was something crazy. It's worth it though. Find it real quick. Basically, it says something like, he believed that he could make the land navigable. Like he believed that he can make the land navigatable, the actual land like it was on water. And he believed that he could make the ocean, and this is in Maccabees. This actually account is in Maccabees somewhere. I just can't find it right now. He believed that he could make the ocean. He believed that he could actually walk on dry land in the ocean. It's worded fire in Maccabees, man. Before the end of the night, I want to try and find it, but I don't want to throw off. I don't want to throw off how we right now. So I'm gonna keep going. So verse 9, or excuse me, Second Maccabees chapter 9. Actually, I take over for me, reading, and touch on it as you go, because I really want to try and find this count. It's that fire, man.
Khan, no problem. No problem. Just let me know when you got it.
All right, Khan.
So Khan, verse 9, it says, so that the worms rose up out of the body of this wicked man, and whilst he lived in sorrow and pain, his flesh fell away, and in filthiness of his smell was noisome to all his army. So that invisible and incurable disease wrought worms in his bowels. And it says, while he lived in sorrow and pain, his flesh fell away. His skin began to peel and fall off. And it was such a stench, and it was so noisome to all his army. You know how Jake be in the world and they say they got that loud, they got that gas, because it got a strong stench. He had that loud. This man was literally loud with smell. It was terrible. Verse 10. And the man that thought a little afore he could reach to the stars of heaven, no man could endure to carry for his intolerable stink. So he was still so powerful that he could touch the stars of heaven. He thought he could really fly and get to the stars of heaven. It says, but no man, no man could endure his stench. When you're a king, you have people around you all the time. You kind of got your women fanning you, and you kind of eating grapes. And you got that one, the guy that's always like, yes, the yes man. He's always right there. Yes, sire. Yes, sir. Yes, this. Yes, king. Yes, my lord. You know how Esau get down. Nobody was around this nigga at this time because they couldn't take it. They would smell him, and it's like, damn, I gotta throw up, dude. You stink. Imagine you being a king and your man just, kind of looking at you crazy, and it's like, man, you stink, dude. I can't be in your army, king. You know what I'm saying? You kind of smell gross. Verse 11, it says, here therefore being plagued, he began to leave off his great pride. It says, here therefore being plagued, he began to leave off his great pride, and to come to the knowledge of himself by the scourge of God, his pain increasing every moment. So his plague started him to realize that, damn, I'm just a man. He started realizing,
maybe I'm not a god.
Really, maybe I'm not, I'm not who I thought I was. I'm not him. I'm not a god. I'm just a man. My bowels hurt. My skin is falling away. I stink. Even if I take a bath, it hurts. I don't smell good after. Nothing's working. I've tried every magician, soothsayer. I've tried all the medicines. I've tried all the herbs, teas. Nothing is working. Let me see if I can grab this one quick precept though. Um,
Hey, I think
think you found it?
yeah, I found it. I found it. So
All right, kind. Let me grab this and then you can get it. This is Galatians chapter 6:3. It says, "For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself." So this man thought he was something. He literally thought that he was somebody, but no, he wasn't. He wasn't. Go ahead, King.
So like, yeah, I got this precept real quick. Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 18 says, "Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before fall." So pride goeth before destruction. Once you start getting that kind of prideful, and you think you Zeus, you think you're a demigod, you start thinking you more than just a mortal man, destruction is coming. It says, "In a haughty spirit before a fall." And haughty goes into being prideful too. So if you got that prideful and spirit, the next thing that comes is a big fall, But here's the precept I was looking for. I couldn't do it justice, but I'm gonna read it real quick. So this is Second Maccabees chapter 5:21. Second Maccabees 5 and 21 says, "So when Antiochus had carried out of the temple 1,800 talents, he departed in all haste unto Antiochus, weaning in his pride to make the land navigable." It says he was weaning in his pride to make the land navigable and the sea passable by foot. He was trying to make the sea passable by foot. Everybody knows whenever you go into the sea or you got to take a boat. He was trying to make the sea passable by foot. You know, the only one who was able to make the sea passable by foot? Yahweh.
Kind.
He was trying to set himself up as the one and God. Think about that. He tried to make the sea passable by foot. I'm going to keep reading to finish it out. It said, "Such was the haughtiness of his mind." That's how prideful he was. He thought he could literally make the land navigable like you would take a boat on the sea. And he tried to make the sea passable like you would on the land. That is retarded. That is absurd. There's nobody more prideful than this man that I've seen yet in the Bible. I haven't
To be
seen one.
honest, I haven't.
Hey, this is a precept of Antiochus. Isaiah 14 and 14. This says, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." He really believed that he was Yahweh. So he thought that he could part the sea. That is crazy.
Kind.
Hey,
He
what was
literally
that?
thought he could slack you.
Nah, I was just gonna say, what was that last verse where he said he started seeing that he is.
God. It's right here. Verse 11. Here, therefore, being plagued, he began to leave off his great pride and to come to the knowledge of himself by the scourge of God.
By the scourge of God, by the Most High God. The only way to humble this man is to give him an invisible and incurable disease. It said worms was crawling out of his body and maggots. Bro, that's crazy. Hey, I gotta get it. I always say this whenever we breaking this down. Say you driving and a big old locust or a grasshopper or a bug, they blind and they just be flying into stuff. Say that. Hey, say a wasp. and get next to you, you kind of flipping out. You might crash if you in a car.
Yeah.
You gonna run. Think about maggots and worms and bugs and beetles crawling on your arm. You know, bro, look, sometimes it'd be like a piece of hair or something hit my arm and I jump and I hit it. I'm like, I'm tripping.
Yeah.
Imagine if you seeing bugs crawl up and down your arm, right? Or crawl out of your arm or
Yeah.
out of your ear, something fly by your ear. Like, you crawling out of your ears, your nose, and it smell.
Yo, you know how annoying dealing with a gnat is? Imagine gnats is just out of his body and they just like, surrounding him the whole time. That's
Yeah,
a noisome pestilence right there.
right.
But
Just trying to
kind,
paint that picture, y'all. That is crazy.
definitely. That was the pride of Antiochus. Because we seen everything that he had done up until this point. But we finna figure out what kind of man he is when he got that lighter on his ass.
Right, right. Let's get back to it. Oh,
This
man.
is Second Maccabees chapter 9 in verse 12. It says, and when he himself could not abide his own smell. So like I gotta stop right there. I gotta stop right there. Okay. So I'm gonna get a little graphic. You know how you go number two. You can take your own number two. It's like, yeah, man, it's I don't you smell that bad, you know. But somebody else smell it. It's like, damn, that's disgusting. He was to the point where he couldn't even take his own smell. Sometimes you would become you would become nose blind to certain things, but
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't nose blind to this. It was
Bruh.
it was to the point where he couldn't take this shit no more. Go ahead.
You know how everybody got their own like personal scent,
Yeah.
and it gets to a point where you can't smell your own scent.
Yep.
It's just who you are. You? Not so.
Not so.
Not with this man. That's crazy.
Kind. I love laughing at Antiochus because he was wicked as hell. I can do this, and he was an Edomite. Come on now.
Con.
This is Second Maccabees chapter 9 and verse 12. It says, and when he himself could not abide his own smell, he said these words: "It is meat to be subject unto God."
Hey,
Like,
is that hey? We'll let everybody know when it says meat. How's it spelled?
what you asking me?
Con, because you right
Wait, say
there
it
in the.
again.
It says it is meat. Spell it. Spell it for the audience, Baba Kasha.
Kind. MEET.
It's not MEAT as in flesh or a damn piece of chicken. It's not talking about that kind of meat. It's talking about when you see the word MEET, it can either be talking about like meat, like a meeting where you meet up, or it can be talking about you can replace it with good. It just
Kind.
means good. Now read the verse again and put good there.
Kind. It says, it is good to be subject unto God.
The most prideful man on earth, he was like, you know what? Maybe it's good to be subject unto God. You know, maybe this is a good thing. That's
Kind.
crazy.
Definitely. And the crazy thing is, this is Antiochus that had us set up an altar unto Zeus. So now he know about God. That's the crazy thing. That's the thing that you gotta understand and look, kind of put your spiritual goggles on, because all these other nations know about the Most High God and know He's the true and living God.
Mm-hmm.
They know that. They know that for a fact, but they still go against Him. And now he see what going against them brought his ass. I'm gonna read it again, verse 12. And when he himself could not abide his own smell, he said these words: It is meet to be subject unto God, and that a man that is mortal should not proudly think of himself as if he were God. He's getting the worst beating ever. He's going through hell because how he treated the Jews, because how proudly he's speaking. He's going through it. His skin is literally fall. You got to think about that. When your skin fall off, it's not like it's just numb. You numb to the pain. No, nigga, it hurt. It hurts. His stomach
Just real quick.
hurts. Go ahead.
This is chapter 2 and verse 8.
Say it again. Say
Zechariah
it again. You
chapter,
cut out.
Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 8. It said, "For thus said the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye." So when people touch us, these other nations, us, they touching the touching the apple of the Most High God's eye. I just laughed at Tahoam's comment. Hey, hey, don't spoil,
God.
bruh. 13. It says, so we had Second Maccabees chapter 9 verse 13. It says, "This wicked person vowed also unto the Lord, who now no more would have mercy upon him, saying thus." So now he want to make vows to the Most High God, but the Lord said he ain't having no mercy on him. He not dealing with that. Verse 14, that the holy city to the which he was going in haste, because he was on his way to Jerusalem, because we just killed Nicanor. He heard about it. He on his way to come make this place a damn grave site. That's what it says. So he was on his way in haste to lay it even with ground and to make it a common burying place. He was at liberty. So he was going to make Jerusalem a burying place, a grave site. Verse 15, "And as to the Jews whom he had judged not worthy so much as to be buried, but to be cast out with their children to be devoured of the fowls and wild beasts, he would make them all equal to the citizens of Athens." Hey, he looked down on the Jews so much. We was basically just beasts to him. We wasn't even worthy to be buried in his eyes 30 minutes ago. But now he's saying they equal. Verse 16, "And the holy temple which before he had spoiled, he would garnish with goodly gifts and restore all the holy vessels with many more, and out of his own revenue defray the charge belonging to the sacrifices." So all of the things that he took from our temple, he said he was going to get that back, plus interest.
Damn right.
Right, right. Oh man, verse 17. Yea, and it's like, yea, and that also he would become a Jew himself.
This is the same man that set up a decree that said you can no longer call yourselves Jews. Now he's like, matter of fact, I'm like that one said. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna become a Jew myself. You know what I'm saying? It don't look bad. I want to serve the one and truly God. You know what I'm saying?
The man who said, "If you say that you a Jew, I'm gonna kill you."
Death.
That man is now saying, "I think I'm a Jew. I think it's good for me to start being an Israel." You know why? Because y'all got a powerful God.
I realize that.
Hey, you know what? I think I see the light.
Really?
This all makes sense. All of a sudden. Oh, when you said God, you meant God.
Really? You meant I didn't know that. Salakia. Temple. I didn't know that y'all. I didn't know that was y'all's temple. I swear I didn't. I'll bring everything back.
Hey, they say I ain't mean no harm. You know I ain't mean no harm. You know me. I'm a good guy.
You know how us Edomites get, man. Come on, man.
Man, I'm still your boy, right?
Really?
Hey, I'm still your brother, right? Khan?
I'm still your
Khan?
brother, yes. Nigga getting beat the hell up over there. Nigga dying slowly.
Bruh. So all of this is happening. Let me read this in Daniel 8 and 25 again. It says, and through his policy, he shall cause craft to prosper. Hey, and that craft is wickedness. It says, the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And watch this precept right here. This is Maccabees, first Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 9. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, so did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Evils were multiplied in the earth when Antiochus was hitting the scene. That's craft prospering in his hand. Now, this is why I want to go back. It says, Daniel chapter 8 and 25 again. It says, and through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. And we see how he magnified himself in his heart and how prideful he was. It says, and by peace shall destroy many. We showed you the accounts where he was like, peace, peace, but really he was trying to overthrow us. Now watch this. It says, he he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So this man is literally getting down on every level, but nobody is touching us, man. That's getting broken down without him. Invisible and an incurable disease. Nobody has the remedy for this. People don't even understand what's going on with this man. This nobody has seen this before. Right.
Time Salakia. And the crazy part is, he is not dead yet. He's not dead. I mean, when you eat something, the worms eat it. You don't get full, and the Most High just keeping you alive. That is hell. That
That
is
is
hell.
that's a different kind of torture. Only the Most High God could put. I
Bro.
Whenever you see termites and worms and mushrooms, it means something is dead. You know, when stuff start decomposing, you know, the insects eat it up, it's dust and worms like it's dead. No, this nigga is still alive, King. He's still
Hell.
alive. He smelled like a dead corpse, but he's alive. He looked like a dead corpse, but he's alive. Think about it. You got a worm. You know how you see in school, in public schools, I remember my teacher had an apple desk and it had a damn worm in it. Imagine that nigga heart. You got worms and termites and beetles and creeping
Hey,
things.
and with the apple and the worm, it always got the worm smiling. So like that was just funny to me.
Bro, you not lying, man.
I got a
You
quick precept though.
con.
Um, I'm gonna get two. This is Wisdom of Solomon 16:13. It says, "For thou hast power of life and death. Thou leadest to the gates of hell and bringest up again." So the Most High God has control and power over life and death. He can put you in a situation to where you're supposed to be dead, but no, nigga, you still alive. Like that's just how it is. If I don't want you to die, you're not gonna die. That's kind of how the Most High work. Then I'm gonna jump down to verse 15. It says, "But it is not possible to escape thine hand." It's not possible to escape. He already said that he wouldn't have no more mercy upon Antiochus,
Mm.
you know, and we see it. And he's getting a just judgment. He used to torture men's bowels, but them men, you know, they would get tortured for a second, then they body would probably go numb, or either they'll faint, they'll die. But him, he's not fainting. His body ain't going numb. He ain't dead yet. He's eating, but he's not getting full. Something else eating, eating it up for him. His flesh is falling. It's just like I'm trying to paint that picture of how gruesome this man's life is. He's still alive. And on top of all that, on top of all of that I just mentioned, this nigga stink. That is the worst. That's probably one of the worst parts of it all. I can deal with a lot of stuff, but stink? I don't know, man. That is crazy. That's crazy.
Bruh. I'm gonna keep reading, Con.
Con.
Second Maccabees chapter 9 and verse 17 again, because this is crazy. He said, yea, and that also he would become a Jew himself and go through all the world that was inhabited and declare the power of God.
This nigga became a disciple. This nigga put on. He went around, yeah, man. You know, the Most High God did this for the Jews. He did this for Israel. You know what I'm saying? I heard the Messiah coming soon. You know, that shit is
And I
funny.
tell you what, you definitely don't want to be prideful. He probably like, man, and this is what happened to me. Here's
You
my
see how
story.
I am? You see why I stink? It's because of him.
You see that? You see that? Look, my toe just fell off. My flesh, my ear. Look, man, I don't know. All I can say is God is real.
Hey, he talking to him. He like, I'm supposed to be dead, right? Yeah, well, with God, anything is possible.
But we can do nothing against the truth.
Bro is getting beat up. He went around the world and declared the power of God.
He definitely would have did this. All right, verse 18. It says, but for all of this, his pains will not cease. For the for the just judgment of God was come upon him. Therefore, despairing of his health, he wrote to the Jews the letter underwritten. It says, contained in the form of a supplication after this manner. So while he going through all of these pains, despairing for his health, meaning he he know he not soon. He wrote a letter of supplication to the Israelites. Verse 19, Antiochus, king and governor, the good Jews, his citizens, wisheth much joy, health, and prosperity. This is the letter he's writing. He said, the good Jews, the good Jews,
Really though.
his citizens wisheth much joy, health, and prosperity. If ye and your children fare well, and your affairs be to your contentment, I give very great thanks to God, having my hope in heaven.
This nigga's hope is no longer on earth. He's hopeless. He's like, man, I got my hope in heaven because I'm done, nigga. I'm finished. All right, this shit still hurt. I didn't gave back the temple. I didn't prayed. I repented. I didn't put forth work in the ministry. You know, but it's my hope is in heaven, y'all. I hope y'all do good. I hope y'all children fare well. I wish y'all peace, love, tranquility. You know what they used to say: peace, love, tranquility, and hair grease, some shit like that. That shit was funny.
Hey, watch this. This is why the Bible is undefeated. Hebrews 12 and verse 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For ye know afterward he would have inherited the blessing. He was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. Hey, kudos to Mono's lot. He in the spirit, man. Hey, no matter how much Antiochus cried and begged, no matter how much Esau cried and begged and asked for repentance, though he sought it carefully, he didn't get those things. He was crying and didn't get those things. That's crazy. Hey, so kudos to who is it? How you say it? Monos Lot. Hey, you in the spirit, King. All right, let's keep going. It says, where was I? Verse 21. As for me, I was weak, or else I would have remembered kind of your honor and goodwill. Returning out of Persia and taken with the grievous disease, I thought it necessary to care for the common safety of all. Now he got a common or he thought it. He makes it necessary to care about everyone's peace, everyone's
Mhm.
safety. You know, it took a whole incurable and invisible disease to bring this man down, to
Khan
bring his
Salakia.
pride down.
Salaki, and he mentioned him leaving Persia. We seen when he was leaving Persia, he was on his way with fury to go
Con.
kill the Jews. But now he like, I found it necessary that I care for everybody. You know, he humbled down because it's no longer like, I'm killing the Jews. I'm this, that, and the third. No, now he's kind of coming in a subtle voice, and he like, yeah, man, I kind of got humbled, and I kind of feel that I should love God, and love the Jews. I put away all my idols. He kind of coming in that spirit now. When there's no place for repentance, as the scripture said, because he didn't already did all this. He didn't already um destroyed many families. He destroyed many lives. His reign wasn't that short. He's done a
Hey,
lot of things. Go ahead.
hey, it tell you in First Maccabees, he killed. It says that like 40,000 men was killed whenever he went to Jerusalem, and another 40,000 men. This is 80,000 men. 80,000 they were sold into slavery and then killed. It tell you that. I want to find the account. Um, I want to count. It might be in Second Maccabees chapter 6, but it's just crazy to me how he think he can get away with killing 80,000 Jews and then try and just be cool all of a sudden.
Bro, and on top of that, um he literally set up so many rules and regulations to keep us in so much sin. He was moving gay stuff on people. That gymnasium, you know, the gymnasium is I think the literal definition is to work out naked. That's under him, and that's what he was pushing. That's what everybody was pushing back then. Nakedness. Come work out naked. Go sacrifice to Zeus. And go chill, man. Just don't call yourself a Jew. Don't keep the Sabbath day, so on and so forth. But yet, when he get brought under a little bit of affliction, now he's a holy saint. Now he think of himself to become a Jew. No, nigga, you can't just become a Jew, and that's just not how it works. That's how Esau think he is today. He get under a little affliction. Now he a spiritual Jew. I'm a spiritual
Hey,
Israelite, and
now he's trying to circumcise himself.
yeah, man, I'm a Jew, man. We're all one in Christ. They come with that kind of humble spirit, like, no, nigga, you done already did so much iniquity and evilness. There's no more mercy.
Do
There's no
you
more none of that.
do you really think that you're just gonna escape? Hey, look, think about this. I think about this for a second. Go to First Maccabees chapter 5. I mean, excuse me, Second Maccabees chapter 5, and I want you to read verse 3 and 14. But before you do, I want to paint this picture.
Come.
Think about how many Israelites, people of our nation, they think they can get away with committing fornications all the time, um, just all kind of abominations, filthiness, uncleanness, breaking so many laws and commandments willfully after knowing the knowledge of the truth. Think about how prideful they are,
Yeah.
and think about how they think that they're going to repent on their deathbed, or when hell start breaking loose, like, God, if you get me out of this one, man, I'm really gonna be a Jew. I'm really gonna be an Israelite. I'm really gonna, man. I promise you, man. If you just let me get out of this one, man, just say, do you think God is hearing that?
Hell. What's that? How that meme go? Hell to the no. To the
Right.
no, no. Hell no. That's just not how
bro,
it's working.
bro, he said, I will mock you when your calamity cometh whirlwind.
Yeah.
That's Proverbs 1. He said he's gonna mock you. He's gonna laugh at you when he see you do that. All you did was sin and be prideful and be wicked. And you think you repenting one time is going to save your ass? Read that in Maccabees real quick.
God, this is Second Maccabees chapter 5 and verse 13. It says, thus there was killing of young and old, making away of men, women, and children, slaying of virgins and infants.
This is what he was doing. Verse 14. Check this out.
And there were destroyed within the space of 3 whole days. Oh my God. In the space of 3 whole days, 80,000.
That's 40,000 people.
Whereof
In the
40
span of 3 days, 40,000 people. Come on.
whereof 40,000 were slain in the conflict, and no fewer sold than slain.
So within the span of 3 days, 40,000 men were killed on sight. Let's not even say men, because he told you in 13, men, children, infants, virgins, young, 40,000 people got knocked off. Our people, Israelites, in 3 days. Imagine that happen in real time. 40,000 people. You see all of your people getting rounded up and killed, led to the slaughter of sheep, and not just 40,000. He said, and no fewer sold than slain. So a whole nother 40,000 people was sold. And I want to grab this real quick, King. This is on Google, and it's just the account of Antiochus he did on Wikipedia. Now, if you click on the persecution of Jews and the contents of the Wikipedia, paragraphs, it says there was a massacre of young and old, a killing of women, children, a slaughter of virgins, infants in the space of 3 days. 80,000 people were lost, 40,000 meeting a violent death, and the same number being sold into slavery. Antiochus did that much damage to the nation of Israel in a span of just 3 days. And now he's saying, you know, he's trying to beseech the Israelites. He's writing a letter of supplication. He's saying, look, man, I wish I could be a Jew. I'm a Jew now. My hope is heaven. The good Jews, like the nerve, the audacity to say this. That's a pro. That's a heathen freak. That's a top tier Edomite right there. That's an elite Edomite right there.
Yep.
That is absurd.
Elite Edomite move.
It take years to learn this one, King. Watch this. Boom, 80,000 Israelites dead. My daddy taught me that one, King.
He said my daddy taught me that one. I'm gonna repent later.
Whoa. Bro, that is crazy. That's that Esau 101 right there. How to be wicked 101.
Classics.
Right. Classic. That's a classic right there. Man, let's keep Salakia. Did you have something, Salakia?
Yeah, I got one precept.
God.
This is gonna go great with that. Let me find it real quick. Salakia. Daniel 8 and 25. It says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper, and in his hand he shall magnify himself in his heart. And we already seen how he magnified himself in his heart. It says, and by peace shall destroy many. I want to grab another precept on that by peace. This is 2 Maccabees chapter 5 and 25. It says, who coming to Jerusalem and pretending peace did forbear till the holy day of the Sabbath, when taking the Jews keeping holy day, he commanded his men to arm themselves. And so he slew all them that were gone to the celebrating of the Sabbath, and running through the city with weapons, slew great multitudes. So he was pretending to have peace and waiting. He went to Jerusalem and waited till the Sabbath day. He walking around saluting the Jews. What's up, y'all? this, that, and the third. You know, he probably speaking to Jew, you know, shalom, shalom, what's good, you know. Waited till the Sabbath day happened, armed his men, went and slew everybody that was celebrating the Sabbath day. That's this guy, Antiochus, the guy we reading about now. That's asking for mercy. The guy that's repenting, so-called repenting. Look, we can get back at it, G, at Second Maccabees 9.
Con. I love to grab the scripture that you just pulled to show you the nature of enemies, and also to show you the nature of the Sabbath day. Some people keep the Sabbath day and they just like, I can't buy or sell day. No, the Sabbath day is really a celebration. Our forefathers probably was getting down on the Sabbath. They probably made a boatload of food. It tell you in the book of Exodus that you would make the amount of food on the 6th day. I want to see if I can grab it real quick. I feel like it's like Exodus.
I think it is Exodus.
16. Let me see if I can grab. Let me see. Double. I feel like it's 16 for some reason. Let me check. Let me grab. Where my sword at?
What?
Sword at? I got a few of them. I need a certain one so I can locate.
That brother said, "Where my sword at?"
You know, my little dagger. Am I missing it? Oh, I'm missing it. Don't worry. But I want to get this. Maybe it's Exodus. That kind of makes sense. Did I already say that?
Yeah.
It's like a man. See, this is what I get, man. I hate looking for precepts when I'm supposed to have it memorized, man. Because, all right, so bear with me. I got my sword now, and I'm gonna see if I can grab it real quick. Let me see. Maybe it's like 32. I feel right. That ain't right, bro. Just fire me.
You said what?
Just fire me.
I got it. Exodus 16 and 22.
It was 16. I should have tried to bring that out.
Con. It says, and it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man, and all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses.
You could finish. I guess that's the point. So it says on the 6th day that gathered twice as much bread. On the 6th day, you want to get twice as much bread. You want to prepare what you got going. You know, prepare a double portion. A double portion. Get your fruits, veggies. You know, Jake love ranch. Some salad. I know it's going. Get you some salad. You know, Jake love fish. Maybe some tuna, something you can eat cold. You know, Jake cereal. Hey,
Really?
what else is a food that you would eat on the side? Hey, man, if you got it like that, you whip you up a regular meal, right? You might have a peanut butter and the next day. Hey, you get something going in a crock pot and you let it do its thing, and then when it's time to eat, you go over there and whip up a bowl. Hey, you might have some wine. You know, you might be sipping on something a little strong, but you lay back with your family. You got the kid running around the house, and you tell them to sit down. You know, open up the Bible. Next thing you know, y'all all at the table breaking bread. Hey, or y'all all in front of the TV and y'all watching this video, getting ready to lay it down, man. It's 1 a.m. You might be one of those men who actually got to do the work, and you may kind of loosening up, laying back, getting ready for camp tomorrow, man. It's the Sabbath day. And I know, so Jay, we usually do this after every camp. As soon as the sun go down, not as soon as, but when the sun go down Saturday night, we either barbecuing or we at a restaurant and we enjoying each other, man. It's the Sabbath, man. We've been waiting all week to see each other. We all working and slaving and going through our weeks how we have to, just barely getting by. But the Sabbath is where we kind of put those things off. We don't worry about or stress about the bills that we got to pay the next week or on the first. We don't worry about none of that, man. We literally take a full day off, man. That's so fire, man. I wish Dahawan was right here, right now. You know what I want? It's not that we have to keep the Sabbath. It's that we get to keep the Sabbath, man. But we got to finish this up real quick. Salakia, you thinking?
Nuh-uh.
All right. So we was like Maccabees chapter 9, and we got to be at like verse 21, 22. 22.
Yeah.
It says, not distrusting mine health, but having great hope to escape the sickness. This man is so funny. He's a joke. But considering that even my father, at what time he led an army into the high countries, appointed a successor, that if anything fell out contrary to expectation, or if any tidings were brought that were grievous, they of the land, knowing to whom the state was left, might not be troubled. Again, considering how the princes that are borderers and neighbors unto my kingdom wait for opportunities and expect what shall be the end. I have appointed my son Antiochus king, whom I commended unto many of you when I went up into the high promises, to whom I have written as followeth. Therefore I pray and request unto you the benefits, the audacity. He said, therefore I pray and request unto you to remember the benefits that I've done unto you generally and in special, and that every man will be still faithful to me and my son. He's actually requesting that the Israelites be faithful to his son and to him. The audacity. Only an Edomite has that much pride. 27.
not the audacity, the caucasity.
Right. Caucasity. It says, for I am persuaded that he understanding my mind will favorably and graciously yield to your desires. Oh my goodness. Thus the murderer and blasphemer, having suffered most grievously as he entreated other men, so died he a miserable death in a strange country in the mountains. And Philip, that was brought up with him, carried away his body, who also fearing the son of Antiochus went into Egypt to Philemon. But yeah, man, that chapter, it goes into detail about how prideful a man really can be. You know, hey, what's that precept in Obadiah says? I think it's Obadiah. Let me grab it real quick. So, yeah. Maybe it's not Obadiah. One and Obadiah. I'm gonna just grab verse 4. I'm gonna read verse 3. It says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cliffs, whose habitation is high, that said in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And that's the spirit that Esau moving. He exalting himself, and he's saying, who's gonna bring me down? Verse 4 says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, then bring thee down, said the Lord. So no matter how high this man magnified himself and how much power he actually had, The Most High God brought that man all the way down, all the way down. He showed a lot of humility on this day, right?
God.
A lot of humility. All praises to the Most High God for that. He faced a lot of power right there. He brought the most prideful man anyone's ever seen to be one of the most meekest Edomites. That's the power of the Most High God. That's fire. That's something that should put a smile on your face, and you should sleep good tonight. For real though. Hey, I can get this from Solomon chapter 6 and verse 6.
God.
That's a good precept.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 6. It says, "For mercy will soon pardon the meanest, but mighty men shall be mightily tormented."
It said, mighty men will be mightily tormented. Bro, a lot of people don't think that God will torture you.
Right.
I don't know why y'all put past that, bro. Like, why y'all putting that? Why are you putting that on God that He won't torture you? He will literally torture you. Hey, you remember we was reading in Wisdom of Solomon? He was torturing men with their own thoughts.
Yeah, plaguing niggas.
I don't know why y'all think this is far fetched. Why people think God is just nice? You know what He did to the apple of His eye? He put us in like 100 captivities, and that's Him loving us. So imagine what He's gonna do to the people He said He hates.
Right.
It's getting shaky for y'all, man. I don't know why people playing with Him. I really don't know why, man. He's gonna laugh at you when you hurting. That hurts. That is crazy. You don't laugh at somebody when they hurt. you know when somebody fall, you kind of hold back your laugh and you be like, "You all right?" And
Yep.
then you laugh. No, the Most High God don't play like that. His thoughts is not our thoughts. He gonna laugh at you as soon as you fall and be like, "Damn, that's what you get."
Right.
That hurt. Let me grab this real quick. Wisdom of Solomon. Man, let me see where I want to start. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4 and verse 18. Watch this. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4 and verse 18 says, "They shall see him and despise him, but God shall laugh them to scorn. And they shall hereafter be a vile carcass." Like that sounds like Antiochus. "Shall be a vile carcass and the reproach among them forevermore." And he is a reproach among the dead. We laugh at Antiochus.
Really?
That's playing out.
It's coming to pass.
Quickly. It says, "For he shall rend them, cast them down headlong, that they shall be speechless. And he shall shake them from the foundation, and they shall be utterly laid waste and be in sorrow, and their memorial shall perish." It said they will be in sorrow. It says, "And when they cast up the accounts of their sins, they shall come with fear, and their own iniquities shall convince them to their face."
Yeah.
So Antiochus' own iniquities, his own sins, how he did the Israelites, all the things that he did to us, those things are the things that end up being his own judgment. You know, like it say, he that casteth a rock casteth it at his own head. Dig up a pit and he don't cover it up, he gonna be the one that fall into the pit. You know, that's basic. That's karma 101. That's God right there.
That's what you sow basics, nigga.
You
This is
feel me?
basic training.
Right. This is basic wisdom.
This is honey, King.
Right. Hey, but the foolish have said in their heart,
"There is no God." That's crazy.
really though, man. The foolish said, "I'm God."
Yeah, and then That nigga found out real quick. He was like, "Yeah, I'm just a man." Now that I think about it, I'm actually not God. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Did y'all know that? Is that just me? Did y'all know I wasn't God?
Right, that nigga confounded. That nigga like, what? I'm not God. This is crazy.
That nigga, yes man, like what? I thought he was God.
Right. I'm so dead. I'm gonna grab like a few more and we're gonna close up. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 26 says, I will also laugh at your calamities. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind. When distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall come upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would not counsel. They despised all of my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices.
Really?
That just says Antiochus when I read it.
Yeah.
Hey, Thahawam, you in the spirit. That was the next one I was gonna pull. That it was so much Psalms on that Psalms that I just read though. It just going to it because it's kind of self-explanatory, Lord willing, but that's so far. All right. Psalms 2 and 4 says, He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision.
Mm-hmm.
He said, He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. God is sitting up there on his throne laughing. Think about that.
Probably the
Think
most
about all of
powerful
that.
laugh.
Bro, think when certain people laugh at you, it don't hurt. Then it's like the most popular dude ever in the school. He kind of be like, and he laughed too, and he kind of mock you, and it hurt a little bit more. You might
Shit,
go home
break
and
your
kill
whole
your
day.
bro. You might go home and slit your wrist after that.
Or that one girl you've been so in love with, laughing at you and shit.
She started roasting you too. Ah,
What you
he over there
mean?
be right, right. He over there be thinking himself. It says the Lord shall have them in derision. Everybody gonna be stuck, man. Confounded,
God.
ashamed, confused.
Yeah.
How did this happen to me?
I don't get it. Niggas asking why and shit. I don't get it. Why am I going through this? Nigga, what? Are you serious? Nigga, you just murdered 80,000 men and you asking why, nigga? Like, what do you mean?
Oh man. And he asking why. He feel like this is a strange thing. Hey, watch this. Watch this. This is Sirach chapter 10 and verse 12. One of my favorite precepts on pride. Sirach 12 says, the beginning of pride is when one turns from God and his heart is turned away from his maker. The beginning of pride is when one departs from the Most High God. When you stop thinking of somebody bigger and better than you, you be like, nah, I don't believe in that no more. I believe in myself. That's when you start entering pride. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that have it shall pour out abomination. And all Antiochus did was pour out abomination. That's all he
Yeah.
filthy, disgusting sins. He actually put abominations on the altar, our altar, and said, "No, this is for Zeus, the thunder god." And really, I'm the thunder god sacrificing to me. I am he. I am
Really?
him. You can't tell. You don't see. You don't feel it. I'm God, immortal. That's me. I
till,
part the sea. You can walk. Look, just follow me, and you're gonna be good. I'm God. Trust
till that nigga flesh start peeling off his body.
me.
Shit.
Till worms start playing in his brain.
Nigga, what? Maybe I'm not God.
Hey, look at the verse. Look at the rest of the verse. It says, and therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities. Ak, that's a strange calamity. An invisible, incurable disease. That's a strange calamity. And
Mm-hmm.
overthrew them utterly. The Lord hath cast down the thrones of proud princes, and set up the meek in their stead. Look at that. He plucked up or cast down the thrones of proud princes. This just is saying what it's saying. This is wisdom right here. We got to take account of these kind of things, man. For real, that's heavy. Man, that's crazy, man. Man, you got anything?
Not let me. Well, yeah, actually, yeah. Let me just go back. Daniel 8:25, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And we seen that he was broken without hand because the Most High God had killed him and destroyed him by an invisible and incurable disease. And that man is Antiochus. Okay, so Lord willing, everybody got that. First had the Persian and Medes, they was ruling. Then the Greeks came with Alexander. Then the Diadochi, which is four generals, which is Lysimachus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucid. And then out of Seleucid, that little horn was Antiochus. And then from down on, Antiochus was doing an abundance of wickedness. And then we see his death is being broken without hand.
Con. Quick synopsis.
Con.
If you missed it, we're going to post it. You can rewatch and study the video. Hey, Lord, somebody can reach out to us and show us something. So next time we do this lesson, we can have that in our back, strengthen the lesson, because it's all about strengthening a nation. So there's plenty of things that we could have added to this lesson and worked on. Lord willing, though, everybody was edified. More importantly, somebody learned at least something. Hey, if you learned one thing a day, that's 360 things a year. Let's go. Let's get in the spirit.
Get in the spirit.
So that's most important. Lord willing, somebody learned something, was edified just a tiny bit. Of course, you can read the video and learn more if you couldn't consume all of it. It's the Sabbath, so Lord willing, everybody is in a decent spirit. You should be smiling. You should be celebrating. That's what it's saying. It's a special day. It's a high holy day. Let's get in the spirit. You got anything else, King? Got that in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, Baba Kashai. Man. Hey, the water for everybody that tuned in, for real, man. It was a long lesson, but it was a lot of information in there. Hey, one thing I will say is don't be prideful, because we see where that gets.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 58. It says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord.
So all the Akim, all the sincere Akwafs, make sure you're steadfast, unmovable. Make sure you're not tossed to and fro with every wind of doctrine, because always going to be some doctrine circulating through the nation. Make sure you join unto like men and women who striving for perfection, striving to increase knowledge, their wisdom and understanding, striving to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, striving in general to be better than they was yesterday. And you know these things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, it's not unfruitful. Hey, he said that the tree is known by its fruits. Make sure you that tree that's bearing good fruit, that's bringing forth good fruit, and in due season, man, you're gonna reap that reward, like he said in that parable, man. You was given talents, make sure you're using them to your abilities. The book of Sirach, chapter 43 and verse 30. Aharon, you got anything before I end it?
Wow.
Khan. The book of Sirach, chapter 43 and verse 30 says, glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as ye can, for even yet will he far exceed. And when you exalt him with all your strength, and be not weary, never go far enough. And with that, we're going to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh. Like General Hezekiah always say, never forget, death to America, Shalom wa Barak Mashbaka, Shalom Barakatah.
Khan, shalom.